Hi everyone, welcome again to another episode of the Flying Changes Mindset and Performance podcast / live Q&A. I'm Jenny Winterleach and I'm delighted today to welcome Emma Trace of Purlands Massage. Hi Emma.
Hiya.
Welcome. So Emma, tell us a little bit about what you do and what brings you onto our show today.
So I'm a horse owner. I compete at kind of a riding club level, but I'm also an equine sports massage therapist. I also do treat people and horses as well. So it kind of keeps me busy. But that's me and my business.
Cool. So you work with the bodies of the horses and the humans. Awesome. And like many of us, you're a leisure rider. You enjoy your riding, but actually you are a professional within the field, and then you get to enjoy your riding as the fun part.
Yes, that's me.
So how did you end up being a massage therapist and indeed being in Somerset, isn't it, that you are now? Because that's not where you used to be, is it?
No. So I grew up in Surrey. And I've always, when I was a young teenager, I kind of always had horses, worked with horses. And then kind of in my early 20s, I had to go and get a proper job. So decided and found a job, an office job, which is really close to my horse. It wasn't my main passion, but it was a job. And it was a really enjoyable job. I'd had it for 12 years, but I always wanted to get back into the equestrian industry, and it took me a while to find my path about where I wanted to be. And actually, it was really thanks to my older horse, Badger. And it probably was originally started the journey of kind of looking to change career about kind of 8 to 10 years ago. I took him to a horse show, we did showing, and we kind of stepped up a level, and a judge rode him who was a man. And all the time at kind of lower level showing, it'd always been a light woman, and a man got on who was a bit heavier than me. And I realised that once we kind of got home, he didn't do very well in the show, that he wasn't quite right through the back. I went to go and get a physiotherapist out to check him out, and he completely freaked out during the treatment, and which the physiotherapist left. And I said, like, what do I need to do? And she said, I think in a tongue-in-cheek way, said, you need to go and train to be a massage therapist because I can't touch your horse. And I kind of went, okay. And then I discussed it with my vet. And he agreed that actually sports massage therapists, there aren't that many in the area, and it's a really good career. So I started my journey of investigating. There are hundreds of courses online that you can go, well, not online, but when you Google, that you can find. And eventually I found a course which was recommended by the Equine Sports Massage Association. And it was down in Somerset, which is coincidentally where I do live now, but that's a completely another story. And I went and I spoke to the woman who ran the course, and her name was Mary Bromley. At the time of speaking to her, I had no idea how influential she was in the equine industry. It was probably after I put down the phone and started kind of doing a bit more research into her, did I realise what a phenomenal woman she was. I couldn't start her course straight away as I needed a human qualification. So I then set about trying to find the equivalent of Mary Bromley in the human world to get my sports massage qualification for people. And thankfully, living in Surrey, you were quite easy to find good commuter links and loads of courses on sports massage. And after lots of searching and going on some taster weekend courses on massage, I came across the London School of Sports Massage, which is headed up by a man called Mel Cash. And he's another phenomenal guy who's quite revolutionary in the sports massage industry, which is now kind of more known as the soft tissue therapy. And I spent pretty much every weekend for 12 months traveling up to Regent's Park and training in sports massage on people. And I had to really literally go back to anatomy from when you were at school, and that was the last time I studied, and I was 34, 35 when I started studying, and it had been a long time since I'd kind of picked up a textbook. And I trained with them at the London School of Sports Massage for the year. Thankfully I passed straight away because I only had a 6-week gap before I started my course with Mary, and then I went on down to Somerset started in the summer and then finished in the winter, at the end of the winter. So I kind of did every season pretty much traveling down the A303 over Exmoor, and learning with her, which was huge learning curve, because as a horse owner, you think you kind of know everything, but literally studying and learning with her, it was like literally stripping everything back and starting again. And it was amazing. My brain was a little bit fried at points, but it was amazing. And after qualifying, in my head, I hadn't really thought about what I was going to do next, because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to pass, because it had been so long since I'd studied. So in my head, I was like, oh no, I'm going to just see what happens, and it could be my career, it could be not, because I would think I was so stuck in the office routine. But a little bit of persuasion from my husband, he said, you can do this. And after about 3 months after qualifying, I decided to take the massive plunge and leave a job which I'd been in for probably 11 years. Massive kind of easy, comfortable job that I could do with my eyes closed. I was a sales rep, and I sold shampoo and shower gels to the hotels around the country. And there was a lot of driving, and there was a lot of pressure from reaching some really high targets. But it was my comfort zone. So I had to really step out and rebrand myself as not Emma, the salesperson, as Emma, the equine sports massage therapist, and go with it. And initially I started off just doing the horses and not really focusing too much on the people side. And then slowly, once I became more confident about kind of talking to people, then I kind of then opened it up more, even though I've been qualified longer, to the human side as well. So then I ran a mixed practice in Surrey and Sussex. A few things kind of changed in our lives, and we decided that I am quite a shy person, and sometimes when I get my horse on a livery yard, as being a professional, I sometimes felt I just wanted to kind of sometimes just be like a little quiet and have my own little bit of time to myself. And I really said to my husband, like, well, when I actually first met him when we were 23, he was like, oh, what's your goals? And I said, oh, I want to have my horses at home. And I think he thought I was crazy, because he was like, but why would you want to have your horse at home? He now gets it. And we decided probably about 4 years ago that we were going to try and buy a house with land. We started looking at houses in Surrey and realised that houses in Surrey are mega expensive if you want to have horses. And then we also decided that we didn't know. I said it was my dream, but you don't know whether you actually want the dream. So we decided that we're going to try and rent somewhere. So we rented a small house down in near Petworth in Sussex, and we stayed there for 18 months just to make sure it was what we wanted and we could deal with it. Because being on our own, there's no livery yard owner to say, oh yes, if you're not back and it's still dark, I'll bring your horse in. I didn't have any of that support. So we rented a house for 18 months, absolutely loved it. Realised that 2 horses and 6 acres was way too much for us to manage, because we ended up having to mow the fields and rake the fields from the grass, to make sure the horses didn't have too much. And then we kind of always joke that when we get old, we would love to move down to the West Country, and that's where I originally from. As a small child, I was born in Devon, and then we just kind of had this conversation. We're like, should we just do it now? Should we just go now? And so we started looking on Google and making sure that first world issues were sorted for us. Like, is there good Wi-Fi? Can you get TV reception? Is there good hacking? We decided to look at Somerset, because we still got our family in Surrey. So to commute Devon's that extra hour. So we thought on Somerset, looked at a couple of houses, and then we found one house which I think I'd seen about 3 or 4 years ago and still hadn't sold, and the price was reduced. So we went down to Somerset for the day, didn't tell anybody, and walked into the village. We rocked up a bit early, because you never know how long it's going to take to get down to places. We walked into the village shop just to grab a drink before we went to see the property, and there was a lovely guy behind the counter, and we said, oh, we're looking at this house, and can you tell us about it? And literally I think he could sell you anything. He literally sold us the village of it being really, really friendly. So we literally saw the house. I think we'd pretty much already made our minds up that the hacking was good, there was good Wi-Fi, and we made an offer, and 4 months later we moved to Somerset. And I always tell the guy in the village that he was the one who sold it to us.
Amazing. Wow, what that's such a lovely story. And I think so many people can resonate with that. They're at some point in that journey. They might still be in the job that they don't really want to be doing and they've got the dream, or they might be now doing the thing they want to do, but actually thinking, well, I wouldn't mind my horses at home, or they might have their horses at home now and they've done it. And I think there's a lot of people that are with you at some stage on that awesome journey. And so, of course, to have done things like that, it would have taken a lot of courage, a lot of ups and downs and challenges and skills. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge on that journey? And we haven't even got to like today's bit yet, but we're nearly there. What's been your greatest challenge, do you think?
Oh, sorry, I'm moving away. The greatest challenge is probably just actually making it achievable, because if you think, all right, today I've got a really good stable job, and tomorrow, and I know what I earn every month, and every now and again I get a bonus, and then you go, oh, next month my income is 0 because I need to go and create it. That was probably the biggest challenge, was thinking, how am I going to do this? And I always remember, before I moved in with my now husband Paul, I was at a yard, and I was talking to, when you're mucking out, you just talk to someone in the next door stable, and she probably doesn't even know this, but she's just like one of these kind of people who she does everything. She does it. She's had a bad time. Some things go bad, some things go wrong, but she always kind of has the same attitude. And I was saying, I don't know how I'm going to afford to move out of home, have a horse, and move in with Paul, and we're going to move into a flat, and it's going to cost this much. And then she was like, if you want something bad enough, you'll achieve it. And that is always, like, if anything happens and I can't figure out how to do it, I always go back to, what did Amanda say? And Amanda said, if you want something bad enough, you always find a way to achieve it. And I do have to break things down, and sometimes it does, like, sometimes you have to put your hand up and it goes wrong, but if you want something bad enough, you can achieve it.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think also that ties in with the thing that I'm always saying, which is make your dreams so big that the challenges you've got to overcome to get there, you just do them, because you're so desperate for that thing that you want at the end of it, that you just keep overcoming the hurdles.
Yeah,
so for
definitely.
you, what was the dream? Was it the having your horses at home? Was that the dream, or was there something else to it?
No, the dream was having the horses at home. I just always wanted my horse. I don't know. I always wanted my horse at home. I am quite a shy person, so sometimes I do find being on a livery yard a bit overwhelming. And I think that was the case of when I became like a professional in the equestrian industry, that I just didn't want to be kind of dragged into kind of any livery yard chats, and I wanted to just I hate kind of any confrontation. So to be on my own and just have my own time was me.
So what would you say then? There's been a lot of learning along your journey, and I mean literal learning, like how to become an equine sports massage therapist, for instance. But what would you say that your biggest learning that you've turned into your greatest asset has actually been?
My biggest learning is probably that that's a difficult one. I would say that the biggest learning is having the courage to go and relearn stuff, because I went to school. I was a really, really horsey child, and I didn't do that well at school, because I didn't have the confidence to kind of push myself at that little bit too far. So then, like a long time after school, going back and relearning, that was probably the hardest thing of actually being willing in my head to go, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. It is achievable. And once I kind of break out, yes, I can do it. And then you get your homeworks, and you just like literally everything you have, I just like literally break everything down. And it's okay. I do have to write things down. And I have to write it on paper. I can't like write it on a computer, because if I write something to learn on the computer, like write it in Word, and it's something I have to learn, it just gets lost as a file. So I have to do visual learning is my visual or hands-on, but if it has to be typed onto a computer, I won't remember it.
Cool. And what would you say then has been like the thing you wish you'd known when you started back then, when you'd done your training and you went, actually, I'm going to make a career of this? What's the thing you wish you'd known back then that you know now?
Oh, this is a really tough one. I would say I wish that I'd known that it was probably more the horse and the rider part, because I was too scared to say to people I did horse and rider massage, and I didn't want people to think that I was half-heartedly doing both, because I'm really passionate about both. So I really focused massively on the equine side, and then came to the human side later, even though I've been qualified longer. And I kind of wish that I kind of went straight in, like full steam ahead with both the human and the rider, because I think that way I could have helped people a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it, how often we'll go into one niche or one area because we kind of think, well, that's a bit more comfort zone, or I kind of get that bit a bit more, and then something keeps drawing us to something else, and in the end you have to go, okay, fine
Yeah, fine, I'll do it.
And then normally you go, oh god, I wish I'd done that earlier on. I wish I'd done that. So what would you say then is, like, so you do equine and horse sports massage, or like you say, tissue therapy, soft tissue therapy?
Yeah.
What would you say is kind of like a common myth or a misunderstanding about it? Because, you know, we hear all sorts of things about body workers, massage therapists, physios, chiros, you know, all these different practitioners of all these different things that people can do. What's the biggest myth that you think that there is around what you do particularly?
I think that people don't like. There are so many ways that you can be trained in all the different kind of professionals. So I think the biggest myth is that sports massage is just a little massage and it's a pamper, and it is so beneficial to the horse. But it doesn't matter if you have a physio for your horse, or if you have a chiropractor, they can still have those treatments and have a massage, because if we all we all work together, and it basically creates the best overall picture for your horse. And I also think that some people don't think that equine sports massage therapists are qualified. And I'm sure there are courses out there which you don't gain the qualification, but the qualification I've got is a recognised qualification.
So basically, it complements everything else. It works alongside everything else. And it's not like, because a lot of people think this about human as well. They think like, you know, yes, you can go and have a nice relaxation lavender massage with some nice essential oil, and it's all very nice and calming and relaxed and zen. But actually, you can also go and have a really good deep tissue or sports massage, and it's really beneficial. It's not just a nice thing to have. It's like, it's so good for the body, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other myth is about sports massages, because if I'm ever in it's always in a petrol station. I do wear logo clothing, and whenever I'm in a petrol station, there's always a guy behind me who goes, "Oh, I'd like to get a massage from an equine sports massage therapist, because you know they're really, really strong because they're pummeling the horses." And I'm like, and I kind of go, "Oh, just smile and nod," as opposed to me going, "Well, actually, it's not about the strength of me. It's actually about the quality of the massage." And actually, if I was to like literally start pummeling a horse, all they're going to do is tense up and kind of move away from me. Because actually, if you go nice and soft, you allow their muscles to relax, you can get much more of a better massage from them.
That's so true. So it's really funny actually that I'm talking to you today, because obviously if you were still in Surrey, then you could do some of mine, but you're down in Somerset, so it's not going to happen. So this week I was due to have a chiropractor for my horse and me on Monday. He managed to do my horse, but there were so many horses on the yard needed doing, he couldn't fit in the human, so that's fine. So I missed out on chiro. So then Tuesday I was due to have an off-horse physio session, which was great, but then that got cancelled for some reason. So I was like, right, that's not happening then. And I've got a little bit of sciatica in my back at the moment, and it's only it's like muscle tension, you know, it just all gets very tight. And I've been doing a bit of side saddle recently and things, which, you know, isn't that helpful. And then obviously, you know, ramping up the riding and suddenly doing stayaways and all these kind of things, and, you know, all the stuff that our bodies are now going, whoa, what are you doing to us? You haven't maintained us for the last, you know, since November I worked out, hadn't had anything. So I managed to get booked into my my gym, which has got a spa and massage and everything, a deep tissue massage. And, you know, it was the best massage I've ever had, actually, because although I was proper crunchy, like, you know, you can just hear the muscles going clonk, 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 clonk. But she was so good, because actually sometimes when they really go in, and I did say, you go firm, you know, like I need this kind of sorting, however that is. Sometimes when they put their elbows in, you're sort of going, oh, so much that it hurts. You're tensing against it, aren't you?
And then they actually go, relax. You're like, yes,
relax. I've got to relax. I'm squealing here. Yeah. But this one was brilliant, because she got the right, you know, there was enough tension to be doing something, but she wasn't like hurting. I was a bit sore afterwards, but is that normal then, to just be a bit sore afterwards and kind of feel it? Or is that too much?
So everyone feels different after a massage. So some people feel like they've been like literally hit by a bus for like 48 hours and then feel dreadful. And other people feel like they could go and run a marathon. If I have a massage, osteo, physio, literally any kind of treatment, and I'm like, I literally leave there going, yes, I'm going to do everything. Whereas other people, like my husband, he's like literally 48 hours and he's like, it's almost like he's got a cold or flu. And I think it's just extra how your bodies work and what your bodies need. But I always think that if you watch your horse when he's had a massage, you'll probably notice if you have water buckets in his stable or not automatic, that he'll drink loads of water, because they know how to look after their bodies. It's inherent in them. Whereas we just go, that's fine. So I have my massage. I'm going to go and have a coffee. Going to have a packet of crisps. And actually, if you just went and had like loads of water and just detoxed yourself, you probably feel a bit better.
Yeah, well, I was told to do that, so I did, but I don't think any of us ever really drink enough water, do we? Let's face it. But I didn't go and get a coffee. I was very mindful of that. Much as I would have loved to have had a coffee, it's like, no, I'll go and drink water. But it really makes such a difference, because, you know, there was a part of me that thought, oh, you know, a massage isn't really, it's a nice thing to have, but, you know, I was kind of hoping for the osteo or the physio. But actually, the muscles need it, don't they? The muscles in your body, they need supporting just as much as all the other things that we do.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that you can do at home, which is not even really massage related, but just so you can go and feel like what a massage would feel like, is if you are a cook and you've got corn flour in your cupboard, put corn flour in a plastic bowl. Don't do it in a glass one, just in case it breaks. But put corn flour in a plastic bowl, add some water, a good level, and punch it. That is the equivalent of kind of massaging with some force. And then if you put your hand in really slowly, you can get to the bottom of that corn flour. And that is how a massage should be, to keep those muscle fibers all nice.
Well, okay, we should all be going out and punching corn flour now. Thanks for that, Emma. That's not quite what I thought I'd take away from today's session, but you never know, do you? Okay,
maybe kids learning in school, because I did it to my niece and she went, oh, we did that in school, and I was like, well, I never did anything like that in school.
No.
We had Bunsen burners and
oh yeah, no, much more fun stuff. It just blew stuff up. Okay, yeah. So what do you think then? So looking back at your career, you know, and obviously you do equine now and human. You're in Somerset. I know you kept a little bit of practice in Surrey, but now actually you've realised that was just quite a slog and a trek, wasn't it?
It was it was really, really hard. It was really the reason I kept going back to Surrey is because I loved all my Surrey clients, and they weren't really my clients anymore. They were my friends. But it was tiring, and what I was finding that where I lived, I wasn't building any clients down here, because my time was planning my trip to Surrey.
So what changed for you then? Because I know you're now you're really building your brand in Somerset now. You're becoming much more successful. You're coming out of COVID, which is helpful as well, because obviously you had all of that fun to go through, and I know that meant that you could and couldn't do certain things. So What's going on for you now in Somerset? What are you building there?
So I'm building a good client base. I've brought on, which I had in Surrey, I had quite a few brand ambassadors from lots of different disciplines, and now I've got brand ambassadors in Somerset and Devon, because I don't mind traveling, because I think people think I'm crazy in Somerset for traveling down to Devon, but it is like 50 minutes away. But when you've grown up in Somerset, going up in Surrey, and it's literally taken you an hour to drive from junction 9 to junction 10, driving somewhere for an hour where you haven't got any traffic is amazing.
That's so true. That's so true. So yeah, so what are you up to in Somerset then? What's the business?
So currently working again with lots of horses and lots of riders, and actually it's been really great. So since the lockdown has eased, I've had so many more horse riders. I think people have been a bit online, looking on Facebook, doing lots of kind of online Pilates, and they realised that they need to treat themselves. So I've had lots more horse riders come to me for treatment, which has kind of got me thinking. I am possibly looking at doing well, I'm trying to work with the lady at the moment, so dates are up in the air, but we're probably looking at doing a biomechanical horse day. We're trying to work in how we're going to combine it all in with COVID, and kind of with social distancing, horse day and possibly some massage. And I do need to focus a lot on building my canine massage base, because with COVID, I have a treatment room in my house, and I haven't had any dog clients. But I do need to kind of do some promotion for myself on that as well.
Oh, that's exciting. So the doggies get a massage too then? Oh God, mine would love that. He would love it.
Dogs love it. And I chose the dog massage because there are some days that I don't want to be outside and it's raining. So to have a dog day where I've got a treatment room in my house and it's like a December day and it's like -6 and it's raining or snowing, a dog day would be amazing. And like literally practicing on my dogs absolutely love it. Though dogs are way more wriggly than horses, and I just don't know, I hadn't even thought that. I was like, oh yes, dogs, my dogs love it. But actually it's actually harder to massage a dog than it is a horse.
Yeah, mine would wiggle with something chronic, but as soon as he realized it was nice, he'd be like, oh yeah, that's nice, oh I'll let you do this. So what would you say then? So you obviously, you've got lots of kind of different strings to the bow, you've got varied backgrounds, you kind of moved counties and all these things. What would you say has been your biggest like career accomplishment so far then?
It probably is rebranding down here, because obviously when I started my massage therapy business in Surrey, I had, like, you go to a horse show, you kind of know a couple of people at a horse show, you know a couple of people at a livery yard, and people know you, and obviously my vet had been my vet for like 20 years, so he would just mention, oh, do you know Emma does this, and that was really easy, really word of mouth. But actually moving to Somerset, where I knew no one, was so it was really, really hard. And I think it made me definitely dig deep. And I literally went to any kind of, if there was I was really lucky, the tack shop, which is about 3 or 4 miles down the road, when I first moved here, and they were doing loads of talks. So I went every month to one of their talks. I didn't care what it was, because I wanted to sit next to someone who actually might want to be my friend, and eventually maybe they want to have their horse massage. And it is that was kind of quite digging deep, because I am really shy, and I thought I've got to go. And it was really, really, really nice, because actually the ladies in the tack shop, I think I was like, I don't know anybody, I don't know if I should come, and she was like, no, come. And I think I made so many friends and clients through that. And also the other thing I'd never been confident enough to go to like a riding club camp, and I was like, I never went in Surrey because I wasn't confident enough, and how am I going to go in Somerset where I don't know anybody? And again, the girl Emma, who worked in the tack shop, she said to me, oh, are you going to the camp? And I was like, oh no, because I don't know anybody, and you have to share accommodation, I don't know anyone, so I'm probably not going to go. And then she literally was like the loveliest person. She went, I'll share with you, and you're going. And I kind of went, all right then. And literally from going to that riding club camp for 2 days, I'm like firmed up quite a few really good relationships, and it kind of made me have the confidence to think, gosh, I've probably been missing out on all of this for years because I was too scared. But actually, sometimes if you are a little bit scared, people actually, everyone else is in the same boat.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just awesome. It's so lovely to hear how you made this move because it's what you wanted to do. Of course, it didn't come without its challenges. Everything does. If everything was easy, we'd all be doing it. And so you did that. And then you realized when you got there what some of the challenges were that perhaps you hadn't particularly thought about, or you had, but you thought, well, I can't do anything until I'm there. And you went about pushing your comfort zone, stretching that comfort zone in order to get what you wanted. And that's what you've got to do to achieve something, isn't it? But that wouldn't have been without help and support. So what would you say has been some of the best things you've done to get help and support along the way in all the various bits up to where you are today?
I think support comes from really close friendships. And I know people say, oh, I've got loads of friends. I don't have loads of friends. My friendship circle was really tight, but it is of core people who are really influential. And I think the main kind of backer behind me is my husband. He is the most confident person, and he's like, hey, yeah, it doesn't matter if it goes wrong, it doesn't matter because you did it. And I think that is his attitude. He's like, yeah, just do it. And I mean, even when I was out competing a lot, he's like, so when you go through the competitions, are you aiming to win? And I was like, no, I'm just literally going. And he I think it took him, and I still don't think he actually understands it. We've been together 17 years, and I think he kind of thinks, why would you go to a competition and you just want to go and have fun? Whereas he's like, if I'm going to go and do something, I'm going to go and win it. And he's like, why can't you have that in your head? And I was like, well, I don't. But he is my kind of biggest kind of backer behind me.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? That's so funny though, that I spend all my time trying to get people to understand that it's about the enjoyment of it. It's a hobby, it's a leisure thing. It's about going and enjoying it. It doesn't matter if you win. Winning's a bonus. Yes, of course, you don't want to go along deliberately trying to lose. That's fine. But actually, yes, you want to do your best. And sometimes that will mean you win. And that's fantastic. And it's really funny when people don't understand that actually there's this whole sentient being involved apart from anything else. They might not want to do it that day. They might not be that fussed about it. They might not be on their A game. And you can't always go to win because that 50% of the partnership might say bog off.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your horses and what you love about them and what you do, because I know you've had a little bit of a journey there as well, really, haven't you?
Yeah. So I've got Badger. He's 21. He is a horse of a lifetime, and I think I probably say that he is perfect. He is not perfect, but in my head, he is perfect. He's quirky, and he can't be retired because he can't cope with it. He literally wants to be in work all the time. He stopped competing the end of 2019 because he had hot arthritis, and I decided that even though I think the vets kind of said he'll be right to go do lower level, I'd rather keep him ticking along at a really low level of just hacking forever than have them give him any pain or anything. So he is my horse of a lifetime. We've done everything. We've been to dressage, the Hickstead Championships. He's done riding club. He has literally done everything. He is quirky. He is just the horse of a lifetime, and he's, in my eyes, he's perfect. But everyone else's eyes, he's not, because no one else can get on him apart from me. And I have a new horse who I've had for 6 weeks called Marty. He's a little Connemara. He is riding 5. He has done nothing, and he is a little superstar. We went to our first riding club. It's supposed to be a flat work lesson last Saturday, and it turned out to be a jumping lesson. I don't really know if he's ever seen a jump before in his life. And he literally was perfect. He was a really good boy. He's got a lot of training. We've got a long way to go because he's only young and hasn't done very much. But he's a little darling. And before that, I've had a few, which is where I met Jenny last year. I had a few kind of equine upsetting disasters. which is one of my reasons why I didn't continue going back to Surrey for work, was I had a little companion pony called George, and during a very freak accident, during a lameness assessment for Badger, George heard the hunt, which weren't like at the bottom of our drive, but he heard the hounds. They're probably 2 or 3 miles away, but on the hill, and I assume that the sound travels. He heard the hunt, panicked in his stable, slipped over, and like literally died in my arms, with the vet there. We couldn't, or that it was totally awful, but for a vet to be there when everything happened made it a little bit better, and that was catastrophic for me. And that was probably one of the reasons why I didn't want to go back to Surrey, because this is supposed to be my life, this is my hobby, and if that had happened when I was away, 3 or 4 hours away journey wise, I just couldn't bring myself to do that. That's why I kind of gave up going back to Surrey, as well as kind of trying to build my client base in Somerset. I then took a trip to Ireland to go and see one of my friends, and I bought a lovely horse called Jasper, and he was going really, really well, but he wasn't building his muscles symmetrically. And as a therapist, I'm probably a bit OCD, but I got the vets out. We x-rayed his back, and he had kissing spine. We opted for surgery because the prognosis of the other treatments they didn't believe were right. But unfortunately, after surgery, he developed bilateral forelimb lameness, and the amount of pain that he was in, we decided that the best thing was to put him to sleep because of the pain he had in his feet. And then bought another lovely horse, but I bought her too quickly, and me and her, we weren't right together. She's a lovely mare, but we just didn't click. And then I originally went to Ireland before I bought Jasper, looking for a Connemara, and then fell in love with this massive chestnut. So I decided that the route was that I was going to sell her, find her the right person that she wanted to get on with, and I would go and look for a Connemara. Hence, I have Marty.
Awesome. And what I love about you is that you're tenacious, you don't give up on things, but you will change and flex if you think it's not right. You're not going to settle for something if you think, no, this isn't right, this isn't what I want. And so many people will have kept your recent mare, for instance, and sort of gone, oh well, I've had all these issues with horses and things. The thought of finding another one and another unknown is greater than the fact that I'm struggling because we don't click. But actually you had the confidence, and you had the understanding that there's no point being in that partnership if it doesn't work. And so what would you say to people that are perhaps in that point at the moment of they've had heartache, they've had things happen, they've had bad luck, and they're in the situation again where they think, oh no, not again, what do I do?
So I mean, I'm coming from this from after kind of nearly kind of having some mindset coaching with you for nearly 12 months now, and I think I'm coming from it from a different angle. And it's because the coaching that we've had is that if you want to change, if you want to, you have to be accountable, and if you want to change something, you have to work out what's the way you're going to do it, but also you kind of have to make sure that you've got the right people around you. And if something's not going right, it's not all like, it can just be circumstances that it's not right for you, but you can have people who will just say to you, oh, not bad luck again. And I just think, oh no, it's not that, it's bad luck, it's just something that just didn't work out. You deal with the situation and move on. But and I think probably working with you has massively helped. And sometimes I think I was listening to a podcast with someone else, and actually it was Peggy March who kind of said that she'd had a really bad time up until she won badminton, of just bad luck, and I think she kind of felt that she was tarnished with it, and she's not. And that's kind of, and I listened to that and thought, no, that's correct. She's completely correct. She wasn't. It was just timing, and I think you just have to pick and choose the right the right time and something doesn't feel right for you, then it's probably not. And I think what's happened with me and my mare and now getting Marty, I have influenced a couple of people who follow me on Instagram have actually contacted me and said, I see, I get it, and you've been brave enough to kind of go and get another horse, a third horse in kind of 18 months, and I think you've kind of influenced me that what I have, my horse isn't me and my horse aren't right for each other, but not to say we're not right for somebody else. And I think that really kind of made me go, oh, okay, so I wasn't the only person who felt like that, but for me being honest has helped someone else.
Yeah, and it's a really common thing in the equine world. In fact, in Eden the other week, I did my hour-long, mastermind live clinic, and it was all about goals and things like that. But one of the elements that was really key in there was it's about partnership as well in our sport. You can't just set a goal and expect it to happen if you just keep working at it. And it's so important that people realize that they aren't a failure. They haven't given up. They're not stupid or unlucky or not a good a rider if the partnership doesn't work. If Piggy French can say she's had some bad luck and things haven't worked out and she hasn't had the right match or the right partnership, or things have happened that aren't anything that she could have done anything about, and even if she could, might still have happened, for her to be able to say that, you realize, don't you, that actually it's just a part of this sport that we have got to just roll with and be prepared to make those changes.
Yeah, and when you it's you and your horse. But when you ride, it shouldn't be you and your horse. It should just be you're a collaboration of each other, and you have to work. And like when I was with Badger, like literally, I know that I know what he's think. I can almost predict what he's thinking by the way his eye looks, and I hope to get that with Marty as well.
Okay, so one last question for you, just a small one. This can be in anything, business, life, horses, whatever. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
I see myself as still an equine sports massage therapist, predominantly working with horses and riders. I do want to expand the canine side massively, but I just want to help people. So I wouldn't mind maybe exploring a bit more of horse and rider biomechanics, so that I can get an overall picture to help and develop them much further.
Awesome. So keep developing the business and keep growing it. And any plans for anything even bigger than that, or are you going to be perfectly happy just doing what you do because you love it?
Well, the other thing is that this is massively in the pipeline, and we've got there's a massive part of the journey to it, but after kind of trying horses out, which isn't easy trying to buy a horse in lockdown, what I've realized is that you get 20 minutes to make a decision to buy something that's vastly expensive, and you're going to spend hopefully at least 10 years, if not longer, with the horse. And I found the whole process quite stressful, because at the moment there aren't that many horses, and you had to literally go, oh yeah, that one's nice, right, I have to buy it, because you can't wait 3 days, because they've had nice horses, so they're in 3 days. Why? So what I would love to do is to produce some young horses for people, but just for riding club level, for normal people, because if you look out there are a lot of horses that probably are a bit too powerful for the riding club people, but actually to go and find some really nice horses and produce them for riding club people, normal people like me.
Wow, I look forward to that. That sounds fantastic, because actually you have got a background in, you've been riding all your life and things, haven't you? So you've worked with young horses, and you've kind of done that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but actually to get to pair a partnership up, I think would be really, really nice.
Awesome. Well, we will look out for that then. So is there anything that you want to say to anyone, or cover, or comment on that we haven't covered at all today?
Don't think So we could cover quite a massive area of moving businesses and my horses. But yeah, just like to say that I am, like, as a professional, I am just a normal horse rider who has been there, and I've been through the lamenesses, the hock issues. So when someone comes to me and says my horse has all these issues, I am really, really sympathetic, and I get it, because it is soul destroying when you have the one horse that you compete, and you're not a professional, where you've got a string of horses. So if that one horse is off for 6 months, it's not the end of the world. But if your main horse is off for a long period of time, like, as a therapist and as a person, I get it, and I think that's, I try and come across as personable as possible, because I understand that people look, it is heartbreaking, and it can be kind of soul destroying, and it can really, really affect your kind of mindset as a horse owner.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's really nice actually sometimes when the professionals that you work with are also leisure riders rather than pros, because they totally get that part, because it's slightly different. You know, it is different. Like you say, it's different mentality. You've probably got your one horse that you try and do things with, and then when that one horse can't, or, you know, you realise your goals with that horse, it's not going to happen. You've got the choices, haven't you? Do you change your goal? Do you change your horse? What do you do? Can you afford another one? You know, what kind of happens there? Do you put things on hold? And it's very, very different to a professional with their yard and their horses, and their horses they ride for other people and things, where I'm not saying by any means they don't have difficulty. Of course they do. I work with a lot of them that you know, have a lot of stuff, but it's really nice sometimes when your professional support around you also get what you do and that side of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I get that people have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go for a ride, because otherwise they're never going to make it into work. and I get, and I totally get when people kind of say, oh yeah, I can only ride at 5 o'clock in the morning, or I have to ride in the, you know, I have to ride in the dark in the winter because I have to get to work. And I totally get that, because I've been there.
Cool. So if people want to get hold of you, if they happen to be in Somerset, because this is the only thing, there'll be loads of people listening going, oh, if only she was nearer to me. And it's such a shame when you do a physical thing where you literally have to be physically with them. You know, I do so many of these podcasts and these Q&As now where people go, oh, I wish they were nearer me. And this is where we need a good network, isn't it? So that you can recommend people that are nearer and things like that. But if people do want to contact you, they're in Somerset, they've got dogs, horses, themselves, whatever that they want some support with, and, you know, they want to get the bodies going the best they can, because we do everything we can, and then we forget that bit sometimes. How do they contact you? How do they get in touch?
So on Facebook and on Instagram, I'm just Purlands Massage, or you can look me up on my website, which is www.purlandsmassage.co.uk, and Purlands is Purlands. It means nothing other than it's the name of my house.
I was going to say, I was literally about to ask you, so what's Purlands then? Because I know you've obviously rebranded from being, you know, Surrey Equine Massage, which doesn't really work in Somerset now, to Purlands, and I haven't had a chance to ask why.
No, because when we moved, we were like, what are we going to call myself? And if I called it myself like Emma Trace Equine Sports Massage Therapy, it just sounded so long. And then I just thought, my house is called Purlands, so if anyone tries to find me to come for a treatment, that's what they got to look for. So we just went with Purlands Massage. I do cover Somerset and Devon, and then my geography is not that great, but I didn't realise I'm really close to Dorset, so I have started getting new clients in Dorset as well.
I love that. I didn't realise I'm pretty close to Dorset. Oh, that is fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Cool. Okay, so if anyone's listening and they're in any of those areas, or indeed they just want to get in touch and ask you a question, or see if you know anyone local to them that would be, you know, good or anything as well, then they can get in touch with you. Yeah,
and I am open to come into other areas in the West Country, whether it's kind of Gloucester as well, because I've also realised that's only about an hour and 10 minutes away.
Yeah, you're actually quite central there for sort of the southwest, aren't you? I mean, as always, Cornwall is the only bit that's like flipping miles away, but then they always are. They're a peninsula. They're always going to be. But other than that, you're quite.
Yeah, I think Cornwall. Someone said, "Well, would you come?" And I was like, "Well, that's not too far. It's just a bit further than Bude." And then I looked. I was like, "Actually, it's like 4 hours."
Yeah. Anything towards Cornwall is 4 hours. Doesn't matter where you're coming from, it's at least that. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Emma. It's been an absolute delight talking to you, and hopefully lots of people listening in have enjoyed listening to your story and sharing your journey. And we will no doubt hear more from you and be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.